Winston Stuart Garth Jr. was born on March 28, 1918, in Athens, Alabama, a small southern town that would always remain at the heart of who he was. He grew up in a world that was changing fast, shaped by the aftermath of World War I and the uncertainty of the years between wars. Like so many young men of his generation, Winston came of age just as the world was once again being pulled toward conflict. By the time the late 1930s and early 1940s arrived, the clouds of war were gathering across Europe, and it became clear that the United States would soon be drawn in. When that moment came, Winston did not hesitate. In September of 1941, months before Pearl Harbor, he began training to become a pilot in the United States Army Air Corps. It was a bold decision, one that would place him directly in harm's way, but also one that reflected his courage, discipline, and sense of duty. Pilot training during World War II was grueling. Long days of classroom instruction were paired with intense physical conditioning and endless hours in the cockpit. Cadets were pushed to their limits, learning not just how to fly, but how to survive in the sky under combat conditions. Winston persevered through every challenge, and on April 29, 1942, he achieved a major milestone. He earned his pilot's wings. It was the moment he officially became an aviator, a proud young man from Athens, now entrusted with one of the most complex and dangerous machines of the war. Later that year, in December 1942, Winston was promoted to first lieutenant, a reflection of both his skill and the confidence his superiors placed in him. He was soon stationed at Bradley Field in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, a major hub of air activity during the war. From there, he prepared for overseas deployment, knowing that the next phase of his service would take him directly into enemy territory. In early 1943, Winston was sent to Europe as a part of the massive Allied air campaign against Nazi Germany. American fighter pilots flew dangerous missions over occupied territory, escorting bombers, engaging enemy aircraft, and attacking strategic targets. These missions were some of the most perilous assignments of the war, with pilots facing anti-aircraft fire, enemy fighters, and the ever-present risk of mechanical failure. On April 29, 1943, exactly 1 year after earning his wings, Winston's aircraft was shot down near the Dutch coast. He survived the crash, but his war was far from over. Instead of returning to friendly lines, he was captured by German forces and became a prisoner of war. For the next 2 years, Winston endured one of the most difficult experiences any soldier can face: captivity in Nazi Germany. He was sent to Stalag 7A, one of the largest POW camps in the German system, located near Munich. Thousands of Allied prisoners passed through its barbed wire fences, and conditions were harsh. Food was scarce, living quarters were crowded, disease, exhaustion, and uncertainty were constant companions. As the war dragged on, Winston was moved through a series of forced labor out camps, where prisoners were put to work under brutal conditions. These men, once proud pilots and soldiers, were now fighting a different kind of battle, a daily struggle to survive, to maintain their dignity, and to keep hope alive. Winston, like so many others, had no idea when or if he would ever be free again. Yet through it all, he endured. Finally, in May 1945, as Allied forces swept across Germany and the Nazi regime collapsed, Winston was liberated. After 2 long years behind enemy lines, he was finally able to return home. When he came back to Athens, Alabama, he did not seek fame or recognition. He did not define himself by his suffering or by the battles he had fought. Instead, he quietly returned to civilian life, becoming a cotton broker and settling back into the community he loved. Those who knew him remembered him as humble, kind, and steady, a man who had seen the worst of war but chose to live the rest of his life with grace and quiet strength. Winston Stuart Garth Jr. passed away in 1996, and today he rests in his hometown, the very place where his journey began. His story is one shared by many in the greatest generation, but is also deeply personal to Limestone County, a reminder that world-changing events were shaped by ordinary people from ordinary places who answered an extraordinary call. Winston's legacy is not just that he flew, or that he fought, or that he survived captivity. It is that he came home and lived well. And sometimes, that's the greatest victory of all.